Welcome to Brightly, You Radiant Being, the show that wildly recognizes, encourages, and invests in the radiance we all carry so you can shine your brightest. Each episode, we share soul driven advice and topics to help you live more brightly in mind, body, and spirit. Through sharing our experiences, friendship, and passions, we hope to impact you to step more brightly into yourself, inch by inch.
Love it. Hello, Tracy.
Hi, Amy.
Hi. Leading up to today's episode, we've been talking about some kind of different things. We talked about Samhain, Halloween,
Mm-hmm.
uh, thinning of the veil. Then we had like our little witchy episode where we're just talking about like there's magic in everyone and not to be afraid of that. And today we're talking about dreaming, actual dreaming, not just like my dream is to own an empire, but what I dream at night. And last time when you were just kind of teasing us with what you're going to talk about, you told us about a dream or you shared a dream. Can you just tell us that again?
I'm going to call you out. Do you remember the dream?
I
You
don't.
don't. And that's what I love about it. Because how often do you remember and want to share a dream? And then instantly the other person is just reminded of their dream that they had no intention or memory of sharing with you prior to that. And then you both share with each other, and neither's was as profound to the other person as it was to the individual.
I think that's a really good point, though. Our dreams are profound to us and perhaps not to other people. They're very personal. So sorry.
So, yeah. Well, I'll reiterate. Get your pillow, get your blankie, turn on the white noise machine. Today we're talking dreams, like sleepy time dreams. Get that tea. So my particular dream was memorable to me because I didn't know I was dreaming when I had it. And that's why it was so profound.
Yeah.
That it contained my real life home and neighborhood and a real life person I interact with.
Now I remember what you dreamt about.
see.
I'm not gonna put my dream in right now. You continue.
And even most dreams are pretty forgetful to me, or I more remember telling them to somebody or more remember writing them down or remember like, oh yeah, I had a dream to share than the actual dream. But this particular one, why I stood out, why I shared it with you, and even when you were kind of bringing it up, I'm like in that dream again. Like I can feel that emotions and I can see it and I'm like really present and really there, which is just crazy to me because most dreams aren't like that. But I also know, and we'll get into like the content of it, but when I shared with you prior to that episode, like, oh, I had this dream, you were like, oh my God, I had a dream, and I made you save it for the show. So I'm really excited to hear that.
Oh dear.
You gave me a teaser and it actually did sound pretty profound. I'm pretty intrigued. You were good at building that one up.
But hopefully it's as good as the buildup.
Well, what I like about dreams and talking about them with others, or even just why, remembering them or writing them down is, how like you and I and look at the tarot and events of our lives for symbolism and insight into conscious and subconscious.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, this will surprise nobody, but I do that with my dreams too. Do you?
Yeah, I bet more people do that with their dreams than they like to admit, because dreams are sort of like this little magic that happens every night, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes we remember the magic and sometimes we don't. But especially if it's a dream where you're like, wow, I don't know too many people who wouldn't step back and say, I wonder what that means.
Right? And I actually take it a step further and I start Googling, I start breaking out Freud and Jung and books and friends and tarot cards. So this, given what you and I talk about, this probably also won't surprise anyone, but I have a sister who's so inclined into these arts as well. Only she took it a step further and as part of her undergrad took a course called The Unconscious and Dream Work. her syllabus, which she shared with me, among other things, was from spring 2018.
Yeah.
And so, I don't remember why you and I wanted to do an episode. Like even just looking at like our arc of conversation for the rest of the year and before this, I at first was a little challenged with my outline or my thoughts, putting together my thoughts on this, because I was like, well, how does it play in? And then I sketched everything out and it seemed really crazy. And so my sister offered her books, lots of books, her final project, her syllabus, her class notes. And so in paging through that today, I also stumbled upon, or Netflix, the AI is just always listening to us. Netflix recommended a show, and it is called Mind Explained. It's a documentary style show, and the episode Dreams Explained. I had that
Oh,
playing, and
yeah.
my outline, her professor Ted E. Tollefson's syllabus and the show all covered all the same kind of like 5 or 6 themes.
Wow.
We all broke them out into like a different order, but I just want to give credit where credit is due. I'm not taking directly from his notes, but I am going to there are a few like recommendations for dream work I will dive into, but I highly recommend, if you have access to Netflix and you're kind of this topic interests you too, like a good segue on what we're going to be talking about, and it's less than 30 minutes and narrated by Emma Stone, is The Mind Explained. And then also, Casey, I love that you gave me all of the stuff, but Amy and I talked and we decided we're just going to interview you someday. So, so if I don't cover it or if I get it wrong, like, don't worry, this wasn't for nothing. But so now that we've given credit where credit is due, I'm gonna quote Billie Eilish now. I don't know if you're familiar with the song, but it's one of my favorite lines, and she sings it so well. And it's, "When we all fall asleep, where do we go?"
Nice.
Ooh. And
Ooh.
and what I like about that is not just that question of like, what happens when I sleep, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there's lots of schools of thought on that, but it brings in the collective to that we are all experiencing like some shared experience, right? But what do
Yes.
you, Amy, how do you know you're not in a dream right now?
I don't. Well, I feel as if I've read so many things on many different topics, and that question has come up. It's like, how do you know when you're dreaming, that when you're dreaming at night, that that's not your real world, and that when you're awake during the day, that's actually your dream world. So you can get really, my brain starts to go, how big is the universe? It's always been here. How was it created? Like, I can go deep into things. So when I hear things like, how do you know this isn't a dream? I'm just like, I don't, but I'm going to go on with my life.
I love your question, how big is the universe? It just reminds me of John Green constantly panicking over the fact that the universe is both limitless and expanding at the
Yeah.
same time.
Don't
You,
even,
you share
I'm not,
similar panics.
no, seriously, as a kid, I was panicked about the universe. Like,
Really?
yes, that's a whole different show.
I'm excited for that one. Make
I
note.
I also have a feeling that this isn't a this isn't answering the question, how do I know that I'm, well, first of all, I think if I were dreaming, it would be way more interesting.
You would hope.
No, I'm actually joking.
So what?
But oh, I just wanted to say, I feel like dreaming, this is a perfect time of year to talk about dreaming, because we're sort of going into the night of the year, right? We're
Mm-hmm.
going into the darker months. And so it's darker longer. It's easier to, it feels like the night of the year. So dreaming seems
The
to,
night of the year.
yeah.
God, you're a poet.
Oh boy.
So what is dreaming?
Well, I think that some people would say you dream because it's like your brain just has to say, oh, let's go over what happened today and put it in its right pockets and right
Mm.
places that it needs to go. But I truly believe that dreaming is, yes, it's part of our brain, it's part of our subconscious, either trying to communicate things to us, patterns,
Mm.
um, messages. I, it's just, it's just what
I
I believe.
I love both of your ideas because it brings me back to one of my favorite thoughts or quotes of I told myself who told who what. Right, so it gives it just kind of solidifies that idea of like your consciousness is kind of separate from this body we have, right, and the
Hmm.
brain is kind of the control center of
Yeah.
that body, and that it's the two of them trying to have like an after action review,
Yeah.
like a
It's like
lessons learned
they're,
about the day.
it's, I love that, Tracy. It's the lessons learned. All right. Are you ready for our lessons learned? Subconscious and conscious mind. All right.
Hey, we
Let's
were
get
both kind
going.
of doing our own thing today. How do we do? What do we need to keep? Where do we need to
Yeah.
go? How's tomorrow going to be?
That was a pretty scary movie you watched. Let's go over the knife scene.
Well, Walt Disney and his staff would say a dream is a wish your heart makes when you're fast asleep. I believe that's
Well,
from Cinderella, right?
yeah, yes. And I actually do not. Sometimes that could be true, but I've had too many scary dreams that I do not think my heart made that wish.
I'm
So,
there with you. That's not quite Disney approved. I don't know how you'd put that in a song, but I'm there for it. Maybe that's more a Broadway
yeah.
musical than a Disney song. So from my sister's coursework, one of the notes she had highlighted from Professor Tollefson, I hope I'm saying this name correctly, is he just defines it as by dreaming, I mean a stream of images and words not entirely under the control of the waking mind. That
Oh,
entirely piece will come into
yeah.
play later.
I like that.
Um, but so, some of the sources of our dreams, it's really changed throughout the course of time, right? And I think that also has indicated like where we are with religion and magic as well throughout time.
Ah,
There's been a lot of instances in nature that I've experienced lately. I've gotten to see solar eclipses, I've gotten to see images of like these super moons and what they look
mhm.
like, what happens to the sky after major fires thousands of miles away from me, and I can see why people believed the gods were mad at them.
Right. Which makes me think, can you imagine early humans dreaming and then waking up? Like, what the heck did they think about that?
Yeah, well, and so many people still to this day believe in that supernatural element, that dreams are messages from gods. They can be warnings, they can be messages of importance, but like, shamans, prophets,
Yeah,
religious leaders, but even just me as an individual, it could be me thinking my guides are trying to communicate to me, a friend, a
exactly.
loved one,
Hmm.
someone that's passed.
Hmm. Yes to all of those.
There's something about kind of what you said before about kind of your brain disseminating information of the day. I don't think it's just the day. I think it can kind of come from anywhere where it's putting these puzzle pieces together, and so when you
Hmm.
wake up, I think that is why it feels profound, right? Like it's all of a sudden like this awakening or this realization that you're having because your brain
Yeah.
finally kind of figured out a problem you didn't realize you needed to work on. Salvador Dali, the artist, he's covered a lot in that Netflix special, but I loved what they believed in 1934. The entire dream happened in the moment of awakening.
Wow.
They thought that moment that you were starting to wake up, thoughts popped into your head either because of external stimuli or internal stimuli, and
Mhm.
that moment was the dream. It wasn't all night. It wasn't, as you and I were kind of alluding to, what scientists kind of know now, your brain processing all of the stimulus that it's received, but just that moment of awakening. But I think why I love that is that word awakening, and that dreams
Yeah.
are an awakening, in a
Yes.
sense too. So they weren't totally
Ooh.
off to me. Like,
Ooh. Yeah, I like that.
um, Another thing that was kind of common that I liked that I read was it was dreams were thought to lure human beings into temptation.
Oh dear.
So there was a salacious religious element to that potentially, or at least an excuse. Oh,
all
I did it.
those
I was
all those
sleepwalking.
cigar dreams.
You're Freudian. That there was a point in time when scientists just thought it was just random, like just random electrical storms in your brain, random and meaningless visions that did not have shared meanings across the board, across individuals or societies, cultures. But most things people dream about come from memories of waking lives and are more of a reflection of waking hopes and fears. And so that kind of combines, your thought process and Disney's together. There's thought to be an element of nature to it, your psyche, so your soul, your character, your mind, what are you anxious about, excited about. Your body can really play a part in how or what you dream. I'll never forget a Taco Bell commercial taught me that if you sleep, let's say you sleep with your window open or your air conditioning on really, really cold, you will have nightmares. Your brain will have nightmares, and it's your body waking you up so that you don't die of hypothermia and go and warm up.
Well,
that you will have crazy, and not even just nightmares, but just crazy, random, weird dreams to get you to wake up, which
that's pretty amazing.
I think so.
And as someone who wet the bed a lot, my dreams, I'm sure were trying to wake me up, because in my dream, I would get up out of bed and go into the bathroom.
But you wouldn't in real life.
But I wouldn't in real life. But then I'd sit on the toilet in my dream, and then that would, I'd be like, okay, now I can go to the bathroom, but I'd still be in bed.
And how many people or kids have wet the bed and then had dreams about being wet for other reasons, right? So it's like your body alerting you, hey, we're wet, right?
Yes.
And your mind trying to sort that out while you're deep in a REM sleep.
Yeah.
Also, if you're really sick, you might have really weird, crazy kind of dreams.
Yeah,
If you're like, have you ever heard of a fever dream?
Fever dream, yes.
If you eat certain foods, it's thought that you will have certain dreams, but also if you over or under eat, your blood sugar can really also impact what your body is going through at night and whether or not you wake up or you sleep deeply and what you may or may not dream, right? And then also, culture, and what is going on within within a society or what you're doing, or some of the things around culture were also a lot with like shamanism or taking drugs or like certain celebrations, trying to have a certain type of dream. I haven't done research on this, so if it was way off in the 90s, please forgive me, but I remember episodes of Walker, Texas Ranger, where I think he had some sort of part Indian in him or a tie to a native community community, and he would go into like a sweat lodge or sweat teepee to induce dreams or vision states and things like that. But so that could also impact it. When it comes to dreaming, some fun facts from the Netflix show that I really liked are men are more likely to dream of other men. And that's another cultural piece. It's because men are typically the problem or the biggest anxiety of men when you think about who they spend the most time with, who's the greatest threat to them. So it's kind of another cultural piece. But women dream of both sexes just about equally.
Interesting.
5% of dreams are in locations the dreamer doesn't recognize, which means 95% of dreams are somewhere you've already been before.
I don't believe that.
I have heard somewhere that your brain has great difficulty. It's not totally impossible because we do have architects in the world, but our brain is challenged, kind of like how we can't really build a face, right? Unless we've seen that face. It's kind of the same for locations as well. So it might not be somewhere memorable for you. I'm not saying it's your mother's home, but it's probably somewhere you've been before for the most part. Children tend to dream of animals. animals. But again, culturally, children hang out with animals and stuffed animals for a huge chunk of their day or their lives. And then the most common types of dreams include being chased, having sex, and falling. And 1 in 5 people dream of all their teeth falling out. With Have you ever had that dream?
Oh my goodness, did I ever? And it was it was at such a integral time of my life. And it's almost a visceral feeling with trying to talk. I'm trying to say something and all my teeth fall out. And I know it was because I was feeling like people were not listening to me and I couldn't get my point across in real life. It was at a point in my life where I was trying to explain certain things. I was actually going through a divorce and it was horrifying, all these teeth. And it's like, oh, you don't speak your truth. That's what it was, is that I was not speaking my truth.
That is scary. And see, the show said that research has found that the people, that 1 in 5 people that have that dream or have had it often tend to be people who just think about their teeth a lot in general and or have
No.
anxieties about their teeth. But Freud and Jung, I don't remember specifically, but it corresponds with things kind of generally across the board, regardless of culture and society in a lot of cases. But that has to be scary in the moment. I've never had that dream. My most memorable, like anxiety related dream is at a time in my life. I was early 20s, recently graduated from college, just started a job, but not making, my first professional job, but still not making any money. Just moved into my very first apartment. And I kept having this dream where I had the wobbly legs, wobbliest of legs. And like I could not stand. I did not have 2 legs to stand on. And it wasn't that I was paralyzed. It was just like they were rubber and like I was just
Yeah.
all over the place. And then there was another one where I could not reach the light switch. I could not turn on the lights. And so for the longest time, I was just afraid to go to sleep. I started having anxieties about
Oh.
going to sleep because like you said, like the dream, like I knew I was dreaming. I knew at a certain point it was a dream, but it was still so terrifying in the moment and not knowing why and confused.
Mm-hmm.
And then a few months later I found a dream interpretation or dream analysis website and I looked it up and it was related to money worries because you don't have a leg to stand
Of
on.
course. Yeah.
And the entire description was everything I was going through with student loans and the new
Yeah.
burden of renting and trying to make one Lipton noodle beef stroganoff packet that's meant for 2 servings last 5 days of work lunches, right? Like it was just like
Yeah.
it was such a stressful and anxious ridden time that I felt so deceived or betrayed by my mind and my body that it's not going to let me rest at night. Like, what is this BS? That like, come on, I can't even have respite from my money woes and dreams. Like, another Disney quote, which I absolutely love this song, is I know you, I walked with you once upon a dream. And like, I wish I had those kind of dreams, man. Where is my Prince Charming? Like Sleeping Beauty had it so easy. But I wonder, Amy, what would the majority of your dreams, or even, the dream you're thinking about possibly sharing with us on the podcast today, what would your dreams tell somebody about you?
Well, I would hope that they'd tell somebody that I'm interesting. And yet not so interesting that I'm not relatable, but also that, I think what they'd say is that I don't have my stuff together.
So for
That's a really good question. I don't know what they'd say. What about you?
Oh man, other than the dream I kind of semi quasi shared in the teaser for this episode, I honestly can't, like, I don't have a very memorable dream. And what has happened to me, and I think I don't know if I've shared this on the show or not. I'm pretty sure I've shared this with you in real life, but not that this isn't real life, but I'm pretty sure I've shared this with you when we weren't recording. But I have been known to have prophetic dreams around my career. So a little narcissistic. I'm not like gonna write the New Testament or anything based on my dreams, but it's best described as deja vu. I will have a moment of profound deja vu, which I've actually had a couple of times this year, that will trigger a memory in me of the most mundane dream I had. Where why would I remember being in a random, boring office room as a receptionist looking for neon colored paper, right? But then I suddenly find myself 6 months later at a job I didn't have at the time I was dreaming, but that I was getting ready, that I had just put my notice in and was making like a standard operating procedure binder for the next person. And I needed neon paper because they didn't have tabs and I wanted a way to separate the sections. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. I dreamed of my last day at a job I didn't even have when I was dreaming it, like down
It's
to the
so
wood
bizarre.
paneling. And also like the location I was dreaming at wasn't even the location I was hired at. About a month and a half into the job, they rotated everybody in our positions into different locations. Uh, and so like it wasn't even a location that I would have been familiar with, like because it was a company my sister worked at, but I had
Mhm.
never been there before. Haven't been there since, thank God. uh, but, but I've had that experience almost every single time I've quit or been let go from a job.
So when you've quit or been let go, you then remember back to a dream you had
Yes.
previously. I would
Yes.
ask my dreams, could they be more thank you for the prophetic dreams, but could they actually help me?
So what it actually did was make me panic about any type of mundane dream I had or
Right.
any dream about my job
Hmm.
in times of my life where I liked what I was doing and didn't foresee changing, and
Mm.
suddenly became really nervous about getting fired. Real nervous
Yeah.
about being let go, being laid off, or anything like that. But then lo and behold, amazing opportunities or other transitions or changes happened where I suddenly looked forward
Yeah.
to the change.
Yeah.
And I know it's crazy to kind of hear and kind of think about, but like I have had a couple of moments this year where I was like, oh, that's what this feeling was when I woke up that one day. Like, we're there
Mhm.
again. Okay, what does it mean? I haven't figured that out yet.
Yeah.
So what have your recent dreams been? What's the
Yeah. So I will share the dream that has just stuck with me. And of course, I should have written it down and I didn't, but I think I still have a lot of it. So I am riding in a bus with a lot of people who I don't know. I'm not driving the bus, I'm just riding in it. And we're on a fairly rugged road, kind of like a dirt road, but with these some beautiful houses, interesting buildings on either side of the road. And we're passing this one building, and all of a sudden, I notice out the window that there's these large white feathers stuck in the ground at intervals in front of this building. And I wish I would have counted the feathers. I want to say 7 or 10, but I don't know. So, and I thought, well, that's really interesting. And then my eye kind of rose up the building, and on these pedestals where the feathers are, but behind the feathers, because the feathers are like out in the yard, sort of the lawn of the building or house. On these pedestals is a white dog, little tiny white dogs, all different kinds. And they're in line with the feathers. So here's a feather, and then here on a pedestal, and they're real. They're not statues, they're real little white dogs. I'm like, well, that's really interesting. And we drive further, and then all of a sudden, there is this tidal wave of water that comes up, like we're in now this flood, okay? And now we're trying to stay on the road, and what's going to happen, and it actually pushes the bus back the way it came. The water recedes, and now we pass this house building again. Feathers are still there, white dogs are still there, and then that's all I remember of the dream.
How, what do you think it means?
Well, so first of all, I always get not nervous, but I'm always like, why aren't I driving? Because I know just enough about dreams to know that if you're not driving, it means someone else is like in charge of what's happening to you.
Oh.
That's just what I've heard. It might not be right. Secondly, who are all these people with me on this bus? And then I start to think, is this like ancestors? Is it something like that on this bus? I see the feathers. So, feathers to me, especially I think a white feather that feels angelic.
Hmm.
White dogs, I'm not sure about that. And on these pedestals, now I will say my daughter has a little white chihuahua. And then my youngest son, they have a gray chihuahua. So I don't know if that was in with that, but I haven't seen either of them for a while, the dogs. But it feels like water can be cleansing, but also destructive. So it's
Hmm.
almost like maybe trying to uh, get rid of the old and make way for the new. But no matter what, these guardians, that word just came to me. It's almost like the dogs are like these guardians, right? So it's no matter what, these guardians are with me. I don't know.
Wow. Do you want to know what my favorite online dream interpretation website would say?
Yes.
Okay, so it's dreammoods.com.
Hmm.
So what type of feather would you, so you said angelic, which is great, and if that's what it is, keep it that, but could it be peacock, chicken, owl, eagle, ostrich?
Well, it was definitely white, and they were, wide feathers. They weren't slender and tall. They were large feathers, but they were wide as well.
All right.
Um,
Well,
a little flowy.
in general, to see a feather in your dreams symbolizes warmth. You are expressing your tender side and a desire to be close to someone. Consider also how the dream may relate to the proverb, birds of a feather flock together. You may need to make new friends, but also when you shared you were curious, who were these people? Are
Mhm.
these your new tribe? Are they ancestors and guides or angels? Like, I like that you're trying to interpret and analyze and question who's on the bus with you and
Yeah.
who's driving the bus. Um, I will say they sounded kind of ornamental in nature because they're really big and they're stuck in the ground. So that does, that would be interpreted as you will be met with much success in your future. And if it could be a white owl, it implies that you need to share your knowledge and wisdom with others, and you should really step into a podcast. Um, for the dog, it's like pages, depending on what you're doing with the dog.
Yeah.
But largely, dogs and dreams symbolize intuition, loyalty, generosity, protection, and fidelity.
Hmm.
So the dream suggests that your strong values and good intentions will enable you to go forward in the world and bring you success.
Hmm.
And then finally, a tidal wave. So to dream that you were caught in a tidal wave, were you caught in it?
Well,
Or
the bus was, but
okay,
we were
so
safe.
yeah. So it
Hmm.
represents an overwhelming emotional issue that demands your attention. You may have
Whew.
been keeping your feelings and negative emotions bottled up inside for too long. You may be holding back tears you were afraid to express in waking life. But on a positive note, the tidal wave symbolizes the clearing away of old habits.
Oh,
If you were
nice. Okay.
if you were carried away, it means you're ready to make a brand new start in a new place.
Hmm.
Does any of that resonate?
Some of it resonates. Mm-hmm.
So some kind of, as people start to think of their own dreams, you can look at them. Are they lucky or unlucky? Are they revelatory or prophetic, precognitive, kind of like some of mine? Are they healing? Do they feel divine or demonic? Are they blissful or scary? And were they intentional? So there's something called lucid dreaming where you can kind of state, and be conscious in your dreams and
Yeah,
and
my daughter practices lucid dreaming. Actually, I should see if she still is practicing that. I know she made a point of it for a while of practicing lucid dreaming.
I will say, in my experience with dreams, lucid dreaming, I have never been a willing participant. It was never intentional or stated ahead of time. I usually am, most of my dreams, like I kind of mentioned about the one I teased about last episode, I'm very aware I'm in a dream and you know, have tactile feelings and sounds and everything just like I were awake for the most part. Some dreams I'm kind of watching like I'm watching TV, like I'm watching
Yeah.
myself, or kind of like I understand the
Mm-hmm.
brain, but I'm still really lucid during a lot of them. My most, I'm not even gonna say scariest because it wasn't scary, it was just more annoying and irritating. But I have a lot of issues with insomnia, and at its absolute worst, I was only sleeping about 20 minutes a night.
Oh,
And it was impacting my mental and physical health. And they kept saying, like, oh, you're probably, doing micro sleeping, right? Like, you think you're watching TV, but you're really sleeping. You think you're doing this, but you're really sleeping. I'm just like, I live with 5 other adults right now. I had moved back home. My sisters were there. My dad at the time was working like an overnight shift. I worked overnight work. Like, there was never any time when I was completely alone where somebody wouldn't have noticed that I had kind of really zoned out, right? And in my car, I would really hope that would be noticeable. So they ended up putting me on this really, really strong sleep medication to just knock me out, give my body a chance to reset, give my brain everything just a chance to recognize, like, hey, get out of this really hyper anxious, kind of flight state,
mm-hmm.
and just knock you out, reset your system, and retrain your body and your mind to sleep. So they told me I had to take it for 3 nights in a row. First night I slept and it was heavenly. It was the first time I had remembered sleeping in like 3 months.
Wow. Yeah.
The second time I was completely asleep, knocked out, body completely immobile. I was completely awake in my dreams, going downstairs with a brick wall for hours, like just waiting to wake up. I have no idea why my conscious mind decided we were just going to walk up and down these stairs. It felt like an eternity. It did not feel like the 6.5 hours or whatever that the medication had me, but like I could not will myself to wake up. There was nothing I could do but just wait. And that is how my brain chose to. It could have been just like that awakening, that moment before awakening, like the kind of I talked about at the top of the hour, or it
Yeah.
could have been the entire time. It could have been a lifetime. Who's to say? But I didn't take the third dose because I
I
didn't
don't
want to
blame
do
you.
it
You're
again.
like, this is what could happen with the third try. I'm not doing it.
But so one of the first documented dreams was carved into a Mesopotamian ruler. And it says, profound things came suddenly to me, but the meaning I do not understand. And so if you believe your dreams hold meaning, if you believe they hold universal meaning, kind of like Freud and Jung do, where you can do that dream interpretation that I just did with some of the notable figures from Amy's dreams, you can look at your dreams and see what it can teach you about yourself. But that your dream is an insight or a call to action. And so even if your action is just to start with the awareness and the interpretation of it, I still feel like if it's something you remember, you should pay attention to it. But that since dreams can lead us to such introspection, you should work to be able to remember your dreams. And so they recommend asking yourself questions after a dream. So you asked yourself some of the questions. who's
Mhm.
driving this bus and
Well,
why
actually,
I put it.
it was like, why aren't I driving the
Oh
bus? But
yeah.
I actually just wanted to know more about who was in the bus with me. Um, this is I just needed to bring something up, and it's a little bit off topic, but the fact that you are very much aware that you are in your dream when you're dreaming, that you are dreaming.
Hmm.
I've had dreams where in my dream Rick, my husband, did something and it made me so mad. And I woke up and I was still mad at him.
Isn't that like a common thing among
Yeah,
couples?
I
It
think it
isn't
is.
isn't that like a
And it's like,
stereotype? The
I
woman is
just,
mad the man cheated on him in a dream.
oh no, but that would be different. That would be like him telling me what happened in a dream and me being mad that he
Mm-mm-mm.
dreamt that.
You dreaming that he
Oh,
cheated
okay.
on you
Yeah,
is
it
kind
was
of the
nothing
common
ever
stereotype in couples
right.
I've heard.
Yeah, I had not heard that, but it's happened. And it's happened where I've woken up and just been so mad. And then all of a sudden, then it was the realization of like, wait a minute, did I dream that? Oh, and then you have to like work at getting that madness out of you in a good, healthy way so that you don't accidentally yell at someone you love for something they didn't do.
I think why it's such a common stereotype for the female or a female in a relationship against their partner is we tend to be more intuitive or in line with our intuition and emotions or take more stock in it. And it has to be really hard to feel intuitive, have a dream like that, and then let it go as though there might not have been something that your brain
Yeah,
picked up.
yeah,
And it wasn't just your mind taking out the trash, but your brain
yeah,
putting some pieces together, right?
yeah.
And
Okay,
one of the things might just be like, I wish my partner would spend more quality time with me, but instead it came out as, my partner went and spent quality time with someone else.
right, right. So what are some of the ways to remember your dreams?
Well, so let's just say let's say you have a dream you remember, whether it was intentional or just like you and I were just like, oh
Mhm.
hey, you need to ask yourself questions about the dream after you write it down, you get it out after you kind of analyze it, but you should look at it objectively, subjectively, and provocatively, they say. Isn't that
All right,
interesting?
tell me about that.
So there are 10 basic questions of the Mythos dream work that Ted Tollefson shared in his class. And they are, what aspects of the dream seem most interesting, fascinating, scary, etc., etc.? For each scene in the dream, what exactly are you or your dream ego or your image of yourself in your dream doing? What feelings are associated with each action? Be specific. What actions are complete or incomplete? What feelings are expressed or hidden? What is won or lost? Finishing or unfinished? Welcome or unwelcome? What are the major patterns in this dream? Note similarities, contrasts, repetitions, transformations, and hybrid images. What are the symbols in this dream? Who are the major characters in this dream? What part of the dream is most like you, the waking ego? What part
Mm.
of the dream is most unlike you? What would you most like to change in this dream? What would you most like to avoid in this dream? What is the most wounded place in this dream? Where are the resources for healing in this dream?
Okay, you know what that makes me think of? Wouldn't it
Hmm.
be so cool to have something like a dream retreat where you go, you dream, one would hope, and then the next day you're with these other like-minded folk who are looking at their dreams and asking these questions.
Amy, I think what you're
What?
talking about is community dream work, which is also a part of this class.
Oh, really?
So they had a 5-part step. You'd probably form a small group in class. The
Mhm.
dreamer would tell of the dream and listen carefully, and the others would listen carefully. First person present tense, tell it twice and listen deeper. Then the group would question the dream, open-ended, not leading, those 3 types of questions I mentioned, objective, subjective, and provocative.
Mhm.
Then the group would hijack the dream. If this were my dream, if I were to steal or hijack your dream,
Hijack
my
the
version
dream.
Here's the dream task I would consider. Then the dreamer would reclaim the dream. This is what I'm learning. This is what I'm still wondering about. That's enough. Thank you. And then the group lets go of the dream. Here's what I'm learning, and here's what I'm still wondering about. I bet this man has that retreat you're talking about, Amy. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, all this whole thing. There's a community DreamWork conductor's guide. Maybe someday, if people are interested, we will host one of these. I would love to have him on the show if he's not entirely mad at me for sharing a few of these things on the podcast without asking. But again, like I said, this was really in line with a lot of other research I was doing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
okay, well, first of all, do you ever learn of a career and think to yourself, wow, like I really did life wrong? Like,
Yeah, that I heard about. Yes, I have. I've heard of careers and I've just went,
yeah.
I did not know that was a possibility for me.
So a lot of dream interpretation and dream guides it's psychology. It's a social
Yeah.
science, right? And
Mhm.
they are researchers, but
Mhm.
specifically what caught my eye was the term dream researcher. Just talking about people talking to people about their dreams and
Yeah.
finding those patterns and asking these questions. I think that is so interesting. Um, but then also my dreams are incredibly narcissistic, as I shared earlier. And like in going through those questions to ask yourself, I was
But
so
wait a
focused in
minute.
my dream about the person I wanted to be there that in asking these questions or reading these questions, it dawned on me who the fortune teller was and that I need to reach out to them because they might be able to give
Oh,
me better insight into that
wow.
situation.
But I guess what I was going to say though is, wouldn't it make sense that our dreams are narcissistic?
Oh, yeah. But also, like,
So are you saying when you were like trying to think of what the dream meant, you were looking at a lens not outside of yourself?
mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. And just real excited about who came into my dream, Amy.
Yeah,
And that, of
yeah.
course, it means something positive and that I want it to mean. It's not random. It's not about them. It's about me, 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 me.
I think that's a song.
That dream was definitely a wish my heart was making, and I
Yes.
was there for it. I
Yes.
liked it. But so, dream work. So, you got to practice at remembering your dreams and you have to be intentional about it. So, if you're interested in that, a trick they recommend is to drink water before bed to cause you to wake up more. And so that when you wake up more throughout the night, you are most likely dreaming just prior to waking up. And then that way you'll have more opportunities or more dreams to recall versus waiting your full cycle of 6, 8 hours, 10 hours of sleep.
I
So,
don't know if I agree with that. I hate to disagree with people whose job it actually is. But for me, if I wake up and I've had this dream and I wake up and I go to the bathroom, not in my bed, but literally in the bathroom, and then go back to bed, I tend to forget then what I've dreamt. I have to write them down.
yep. So then that's part of the process then, and then being intentional. This is they recommend keeping
Okay.
pen and paper near your bed to write down your dreams. You could keep it in your bathroom, and while you're doing your thing, quick jot them down. Or this is going to
I
be an intentional
could.
waking up, whereas it
Mm-hmm.
sounds like before you were just waking up. But let's say you're intending to remember your dreams. You're drinking this water so that you will wake up. You're going to be a little bit more likely to, when you have a dream, to keep that in your head when you get up and go to the bathroom versus in the past being like, oh man, I gotta pee. I just want to sleep and I gotta pee. Right. So it'd be a little bit different because you're
Yeah.
practicing at
Yeah,
remembering
I
this.
get that.
But so, like you said, writing them down is key. One of the people that really spoke about lucid dreaming in the Netflix episode that I'd love to see more about, her dream journal is these little boxes where she draws. So each box is an individual dream. And so it's like this whole comic strip of dreams, but like, and it's not, she's not like some amazing artist. I mean, no offense to her, the things on the pieces of paper looked like I could do them, right? And so that's another way, like maybe if words escape you or if you just want to get back to bed, that's a really quick way, I feel like, to just quick draw
Yeah,
some
I could have.
symbols
Yeah.
that will
Bus,
jog your memory.
feathers,
Yes,
dogs, tidal wave.
exactly. So then the other key to this is before bed, express your clear intention. May I remember my dreams, or even stating, I will remember my dreams. So
I
kind of
like
like an
it.
affirmation for
Mm-hmm.
dream recall. Then you have to, again, a lot of this is everything we've talked about in the show, but you gotta vision it. You have to imagine yourself waking up in the middle of the night with a vivid dream and that you're recollecting it. So you kind of picture that in your mind's eye before bed to further help support your intention that I'm going to have a dream and I'm going to remember it. This gentleman also recommends sleeping with a fabric bag of the herb mugwort under your pillow. Don't know what it smells like. Don't hate me if it's terrible. Hopefully it works. And then, lucid dreaming is a skill, and that's just a part of controlling your dreams. And they say it takes practice. And so trying to recognize when you're in a dream, I think I'm just really good at recognizing when I'm in a dream because it's happened so many times before that it's an unconscious skill of mine. And so just trying to, like you were saying, like, how do I know I'm not in a dream right now, right? Like, so and like try, like, let's say you're realizing you're in a dream, or those moments, like, don't try and wake up, right? Like, ride that wave, but look for dreamlike qualities in dreams, look for dreamlike qualities in life. Then in the middle of the night, it talks about when you do awaken, keep your eyes closed, keep your body still, and try and see the pictures of your dream and tell yourself the story. Don't move to record your dreams until the word brain and picture brain are synchronized.
Okay, what the word brain and picture brain are
The
synchronized?
word brain would be the analysis, the
Right.
the
No, but what I
story.
was going to say is that might not happen until I've had my coffee.
You have to work on that.
Yeah.
It says awaken gradually so that your dreams remain intact. So those of you that really require an alarm to wake up, like this might be for those middle of the night, I'm about to pee my pants dreams you're going to recall, maybe not your first
Yeah.
dream of the morning. If you don't remember anything but images, write or draw only the images or keywords in your dream journal. If you don't remember anything, pick up your dream journal and just write for 3 minutes, starting with the phase, I don't remember this dream, but.
Ooh, I love that.
Right?
Yes.
Fully awaken, do some reading in full light, then repeat some of the steps from the section above, which was all that before sleep stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Then after awakening, if you remember a dream, take time to write it down, speak it aloud, tell it to your mate, or all of the above. If you don't remember your dream, take a warm shower or do some repetitive nonverbal activity which may allow the dream to reappear. And honestly, nothing jogs somebody's memory of having a dream like somebody else talking about their dream. So go ask somebody if they had a dream, and then maybe that'll make your brain go, I had one too.
Yeah.
And then there are these things he calls dream cards, where if you don't remember your dream, look through your dream cards, a collection of 20 or more images that stimulate your imagination. Pick 3 cards, imagine that they represent the beginning, middle, and end of your dream, and tell yourself a dream as a story and write it down. And then he ends with the note, be gentle with your dreams and yourself.
I love that.
What a soft, kind-hearted man.
Yes.
But so with that, I know we're going a little long, but my sister in this class, holy crap, her final project proposal was to incorporate dream work and tarot cards. So I'm going to work with her. She has like 10 or more tarot card spreads related to interpreting and understanding your dreams. So I'm going to ask her if she can maybe create something we can share as part of our Tarot Tuesday on our Instagram. And if not, I might just show my spread that I did.
Yeah.
So Amy and I, we both recently had dreams, and so I picked a spread for each of us to do in relation to that dream. So Amy, for your feathers bus tidal wave dream, we did the listening spread.
Mhm.
So what advice might the universe be giving me, and what did you get?
I got the Magician.
What caution or warning is present?
6 of Cups.
What action step can I take now?
The Hierophant.
Ooh.
And I side-eyed the Hierophant. Sorry, Hierophant.
Is he the one that's been stalking you, or was it the 6 of Cups?
No, it's the 6 of Cups. Actually, the Hierophant a little bit, but the 6 of Cups more often has been stalking me.
So your dream, when you started telling it to me at breakfast that day, you did share the 6 white feathers. And then I said, no, 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 keep it for the show. I want to have an
Oh,
on-air
is that
reaction.
what it was? It was 6. Oh my gosh,
Oh,
you
God,
remembered.
it was. Does that seem right?
Yes, but I don't know because I couldn't remember. And then you just said that. So I don't know. Anyways, go ahead.
I distinctly remember you saying 6 white something. I did not remember
Okay.
feathers, but you said 6 white. And then I'm like, stop. I want to hear it on the show.
Okay. Okay.
So what I felt in that moment, and then again what I felt while you were reading or sharing your story, and then again when seeing your spread, there's a transition you've been considering or holding in your heart for a while, or an ending and a new beginning. And so when I see the magician, I feel like the universe and your dream is showing you you have this power to be leading a bus full of women to God knows where. And you are divinely supported and protected in this and encouraged to do it. And that the 6 of Cups that it's warning you about is don't get stuck in nostalgia and safety in the past.
Nice.
And then action step can I take now? The Hierophant, that's a card that challenges me, but in this instance, what I'm really feeling is like, make a plan, act the plan, like do something official, do something formal, make it real.
I agree, Tracy. When I saw the Hierophant, which I struggle with that card as well, but the first thing that came to my mind was structure.
Yes,
Find
that's what
a structure for this.
Yes. I was hearing like processes and procedures, but I didn't want to go that deep into it. Okay, so one of my new favorite things to do, I've always gone to, when I do a reading, I always look at the bottom card as the overarching theme. One thing that I've seen some other tarot card readers do is tell a story. So they start with the bottom card and then they take the next one, the next one. Some of them only go a certain number deep. I personally go until a card doesn't resonate anymore, or until it feels more like I'm pushing it. Like you wanted the lovers there, but that's not part of this reading, kind of a thing. But so your bottom cards, it started with the devil and you were like, oh man. So why'd you have the reaction you did when you saw the devil was on your bottom?
Because I feel like, because I also struggle with that card sometimes. Sometimes I'm fine with the devil card, and then other times I'm like, what are you trying to tell me?
So it sounds like you're chained to something
that I'm not really chained to,
and that you can just let that go. But then the next card was the 6 of Wands, and you said you liked that card. You were excited by that card. That's a victory card.
But here's the other thing with the 6 of Wands. It's a victory after a fight, because this person is
returning from battle.
Yes, exactly. What did I do with them? Oh, there they
are. So then after that, you got 9 of Pentacles,
which is one of my favorite cards. It's like pre-Empress. It just reminds me of the Empress, and it's very much nature and beauty and harmony in the natural world.
And 9, a 9 of Cups is a wish fulfillment card. A 9 of Pentacles is kind of woman in her power, single lady, killing it, got her own finances, got her own estate, doing her thing, success kind of a card, right? It's the card before the 10 of Pentacles of ultimate success. And then you got the 2 of Wands, which is somebody like kind of pondering what they have, right? What they've achieved, what's in front of them, next steps, possible travel.
And time to make a plan.
So I don't know, do you, as far as that spread goes, do you feel like it helped you understand your dream a little bit more?
Yeah, actually I do. Thank you for interpreting it. I think that it is time to develop some kind of structure or template around all these crazy ideas that
I love it. Well, thank you so much for sharing your dream. What are we gonna talk about and share next time?
Well, okay. So next time we are going to talk about eclipses, and you're probably
it's eclipse
thinking
season again.
It is eclipse season, and what the heck does that mean, and why are we talking about it? I firmly believe that eclipses, it's sort of like a way for us to um shift our perspective. So I feel that when the heavens and the planets and the sun and the moon are doing their things, it can really affect us. And I think that it's a way for us to, this external thing, we can look internally to shift our perspective and to shift it for how we feel about ourselves and maybe how we feel about different things outside ourselves.
I love that. I need that. I'm excited to talk
Currently, I
about
do
that.
too.
Well, if this episode spoke to you or your soul, please share it with a friend. And if you have time, give us some love on your preferred platform with a rate, review, and subscribe. You can also reach out to us via Instagram and YouTube under The Brightly Podcast or via email at brightlypodcast@gmail.com.
And with that, we hope you have a bright and beautiful day and a lovely night of dreaming.
Sweet dreams.
Bye.